All right, thanks, Oluremi. Okay, nice. So we're expecting a lot more people on this call. So before we make a start, let's get to know each other. My name is Adeshina Olawale, and my co-facilitator will be Ioluwa Akinriola. So analytics, let me just share my screen first, then I can delve deep into what Analytics does, and how much value you stand in to gain for being here tonight. So give me a second while I share my screen. All right. I'll share my screen now. All right. Okay. So once again, welcome to this masterclass at Analytics. We're expecting a lot more people to join us on this call, but we'll just make a start since we're scheduled to start for 8 p.m. So quick one, but first, before we proceed, like I said, let's get to know each other. If you are joining this masterclass for the first time, please type a 1 in the chat and tell us where you're joining from. Like type in 1 and then your location, maybe Lagos, Abuja, Canada, US, UK. Just type in a 1 if you're joining for the first time. Okay, Stephen Edo, thank you. If you're joining for the first time, Olalekon, thank you. Ama, thank you. Ogusua, thank you very much. All right. So it promises to be an awesome session. While we wait for others to join, let me just go deep into introducing Tenalytics. So Tenalytics is an edtech company. We focus on helping Africans and people in the Black community to learn premium tech skills, and we are lowering the barrier into tech. So our services basically are aimed at building capacity and understanding across different tech fields, including data analytics, business analysis, data engineering, data science, financial analytics, HR analytics, strong cybersecurity, and soon to start AI engineering. Really, we cover basically the entire data ecosystem, and we enable our students to gain that knowledge that they need to be able to make data-driven decisions when they become tech professionals. Our facilitators, like you'll be meeting one of them this evening in person of Ioluwa Akinriola. They are top professionals from diverse sectors and from reputable organizations like Apple, Microsoft, McKinsey and Company, Amazon, Deloitte, KPMG, Sahara Group, Google, Coca-Cola, and the likes. And our courses are basically structured in a way that they are practical, they are project-based, they focus on case studies, and they are meant to give you the optimal value, at the same time, help you transition easily into the tech ecosystem. So let me give you a brief introduction about the co-founders at Tenalytics. The founder here is Adeza Suleiman. He's a data analytics expert, data consultant in the UK, US, worked as a data analyst at Sahara Group in Nigeria before moving on to the UK and Canada. He has close to a decade of experience as a data analyst, and with experience in management consulting. He has worked in sports industry, professional services, now founded an edtech. He's worked in the energy and automobile sector, and he has personally trained over 8,500 participants. And on the right here is Efemina Ifo. He is also a data science contractor in the UK, US. He has also led business data support in the post office UK. Efemina also has close to a decade of experience across multiple sectors and the data ecosystem. So a brief introduction about me. I am the Chief Marketing and Strategy Officer at Tenalytics. I'm also a marketing data analyst. For years, I worked as an independent consultant, working with firms in France, Turkey, UK, US, Germany, and most recently, Kenya and Ghana. I'm a certified professional digital marketer. I've done that for over 8 years now. But for the first 6 years, I focused on marketing. But in the last 2 years, I've been focused more on data analytics, but then helping to use marketing data to make informed decisions. So I've worked with health technology tech companies, fintechs, travel and tourism, and NGOs, personal brands, and also work with some people in government. My colleague here, Iyoluwa Akinriola, I'll just hand the mic over to him quickly to introduce himself, and then we'll pick things up from here. Iyoluwa, can you please let us know you? Meet you, brother. Hi, Iye. Are you on the call?
Okay, sorry, my mic was muted. Can you hear me now?
Yes, yes, please.
Okay, hi everyone. Good evening or good afternoon or good morning, wherever in the world you're calling from. So it's nice to meet everyone here. My name is Iyoluwa Akinriola. I'm a data engineer with Access Bank Nigeria here, and I'm also a data engineering facilitator at Tenalytics. So I have almost about 4 years experience in the data space, ranging from data engineering to data science, cloud engineering, and I am also a Python developer and an AI enthusiast. So that's basically me. So I'll just be taking you through a very basic case study, not very basic case study, but something I use a master class. So it's just something to help you understand what data engineering is all about from a practical and industrial point of view. So if you're ready for the class, you can just give a thumbs up or say or something in the chat box, and let's move. Okay, can I share my screen now, Olawale? Thank you for that, for the introduction. Okay. Okay, Olawale, over to you.
All right, sorry, Iyoluwa. So before you go ahead and share your screen, let me just give our listeners a hint of what to expect on this call. So basically, in the next few seconds, Iyoluwa is going to come in to show you how to get started as a cloud engineer. For you to have joined this call, you're interested in the data engineering space, and trust me, you're in the right place to learn how to get started. So this is basically going to show you the basics on getting started as a cloud engineer, which Iyoluwa will delve deep into shortly. Then I'm going to come back right after that to show you how to get into in-demand tech roles, especially data engineering with Tenalytics, what it entails, what are the additional packages that Tenalytics, the additional value that Tenalytics brings on the table, which have helped over 2,000 students to transition from our classrooms into their first career, in their first job in the tech ecosystem. How are we able to do it? I'm going to show you how that is possible. And of course, there are also will come up in the success stories. Then, of course, we also have a discount running presently for International Women's Day. For every March, we run discounts for women, basically, because we try to bridge the gap between the women moving into the tech space. So there's a discount for all the women on this call. Please stay with me till the end. There's a discount for you so that you will be able to transition into tech and then get into this program for a lot cheaper than you usually would. So just hang in there with me. And then for the men also, maybe I might be able to do one or two things for about 2-3 men on this call. And the very lucky ones will be making their payments on this call. But for the women, there's a lot more for you. And we are trying to encourage women into tech. So just hang in there, and then I'll be sharing that later on the call. So I'll hand over to Iye now, and then we'll kick things kick things on from there. Iyoluwa, over to you. Thank you.
Okay, just give me a moment. Let me share my screen. Okay, I hope you can all see my screen. Or English. Sorry. Just going to. Okay, I think you can all see my screen now. Okay, can you also my screen? Can I confirm everybody can see my screen?
Yeah, I can
Yes,
see your
yes.
screen.
Okay, great. Okay, so basically, like I said, for those that are getting that want probably you've always had a flair for data engineering on the cloud, or you just want to know what is data engineering about. I'm sure at the end, or you already know what data engineering is about and you want to probably dive deep into it. This is the best place. Okay, so basically we'll be taking a case, we're walking down through a case study, yeah, a very industry, what you will actually find when you actually get out there when you're working in any company of your choice sometime in the future. Okay, so basically this is our case study. We are going to be working with Super Sales Corp. So Super Sales Corp stands as a leading retail powerhouse known for its extensive presence and diverse offerings in the consumer market. So basically more like probably supermarkets, very big supermarket or something. Now the company boasts a vast array of products spanning various categories, including electronics, home appliances, furniture, apparel, accessories, and likes. Now, okay, basically the comprehensive selection coupled with competitive pricing and superior customer service has garnered Super Sales Corp a dedicated and loyal customer base. Obviously, they have very vast customer base. Now, what's the objective of this project? The analytics team at Super Sales Corp is tasked with analyzing sales data to gain actionable insights into product categories and subcategories. So the data provided for the analysis includes various attributes such as the order details, the customer information, the product information, and the sales amount. As lead data engineer for this project, your task is to transform this raw sales data into structured formats that includes aggregated metrics for each product category and subcategory. Okay, so as a data engineer, you're always the first person to come in contact with the data. So so basically we are in a case where we have so much information in data, order details, customer information, product information, and sales amount, and a lot of information. I will show us this is basically the information that we have. This data. We have the row ID, the order dates, ship mode, customer ID. So basically, they collected all this data from customers and their details. You have the country of the customer, the city, the states where it must be a really very big company, Kentucky, California, and all of that. So now your task is to now transform. Now, for the analytics guys, so as a data engineer or a cloud engineer, you'll definitely be working with a team of data guys. A complete team will consist of a data engineer, a data governor, someone that is into data governance, a data scientist, and a data analyst. So you have to transform the data in such a way that it is suitable for them. They don't have to run too many queries on database. You have to optimize data for them. And that's exactly what we are going to do here. Now, if you look at the case study again, you would see that the task is to transform the raw sales data into a structured format that includes aggregated metrics for each product category and subcategory. So in this case, we are looking at aggregating all the product categories and getting all their total sales and the total count of whatever they bought, like the total number of orders. So that's what we are going to be doing. We are going to build that on the cloud. Now, a brief introduction to AWS. Now, AWS is one of the most popular cloud computing services that I probably think is only Microsoft. Probably there's Microsoft, that's Azure, GCP, that's Google, Oracle, and Azure. I think these are the four most popular. But AWS is actually at at the forefront. Now, so cloud computing is basically the on-demand delivery of IT resources over the internet with pay-as-you-go pricing. So instead of buying, owning, and maintaining physical data centers and servers, you can access technology services such as computing power, storage, databases on the need basis from the cloud provider like the Amazon Web Services, AWS. So AWS offers a lot of services for you. Now, but as a data engineer, the resource that you would be interested in that will actually work for you is the AWS Glue. Now, AWS Glue allows you, is a serverless data integration service that makes it easy for engineers to do their ETLs. Now, when I say, or to build their ETLs rather, so when I say ETL, I mean extract, transform, load, which is your job as that broken down into the smallest format. That's like the basic job of a data engineer, to extract data from the source, to transform the data in such a way that it is suitable for use, and to load the data into a database or a data warehouse where data can now be picked from the data scientist or the data analyst for use. That's basically your job as a data engineer, to extract data, to transform data as new data. And the service, the AWS service that allows you to do that is AWS Glue. Like AWS Glue, like GLUE. Why they call it that name, I can't say. But so basically, it's like I said, you can visually create, run, and monitor, transform, and load ETL pipelines to load data. And also, you can also use it to connect. You can now connect the AWS Glue to whatever the data to whatever service you want to now run it on. Probably you want to run queries using a form of SQL app, or you want to your database, or anywhere you want to spool data to see the data, basically. Okay, so I'll just be going straight to this project. So this is basically the I wish I could hide this. This is basically the AWS interface. So this is basically the AWS interface. So the first thing that you'll be doing is to create an IAM user. Now, I'll talk about what IAM is briefly. Okay. So basically, IAM means identity and access management. So basically, your AWS identity and access management, also known as IAM, is a web service that helps you securely control access to AWS resources. So basically, it's like the admin giving is a service that allows the admin of the company, maybe the company that is in the company like the admin of that is managing this AWS console, this AWS management console. So all this, the only AWS interface, I can also call it the AWS management console. So I can alternating using those keywords. So basically, the IAM service allows the admin to be able to control access to AWS resources. So for example, if you are working with a team of developers and you don't want you want to give some developers certain access to some services, to some databases, to some data stores, some full access, some half access, you create a user for each person. So it's just like when you probably, if you work in a corporate organization before, when they create a profile for you, probably on Teams or on Google or any other service. But so basically the admin does that for you. They create for example, I work in a bank, so not everybody has access to everything. There are things that I have access to that another department doesn't have access to. There are some things that another department has access to that another department doesn't have access to. So basically, the IAM helps you to control access to AWS resources. Then you can manage permissions and control which resources users can access. So first things first, we are going to create a user, and we are going to attach that user a role. Now, when I talk about a role is basically like giving permissions. I'm basically creating permissions for that user. So are you getting me? I'm basically creating a user and giving him permissions. So first things first, let me create a role. So you come, let me go to it again. You come to roles, and I'm going to create a role. So if you come here, you can even see AWS is so friendly. You can see the information about whatever you are doing. So basically here it says the role is like an IAM identity that you can create in your account that has specific permissions. So that's some similarities like a user and you can read that up. But basically, for the purpose of this project, first of all, for us to work on this, we're going to be creating permission, like creating a specific identity to access some particular services. I'm going to create a role, and in this case, I'm creating, because I'm using a glue service. Because I'm creating a glue service, remember I'm working with AWS Glue. That is the first thing that's come to head. Like I'm using AWS Glue, so my role has to have access to AWS Glue. Okay, so basically I create my role, AWS Glue, and I'm creating an AWS service. So I'm giving permission for a particular AWS service. So the other services account with the banks, but in this case, we are dealing with AWS service, and we're dealing with Glue and next. So now we're going to give access. Now these are the permissions. No, I was talking about the fact that the roles is an identity that has specific permissions. So for the purpose of this project, we'll be giving permissions to the S3 bucket and basically the S3 bucket. I'm going to give full access. Now I will talk about what the S3 bucket is. I'm going to give it full access. I might give it I need to give them access. I may not need to. So next, and I can just create my role. I can leave others blank. Okay, maybe AWS Glue. Let me call it Glue service role. Basically, so you can see the description. That's basically it. And I create my role. So this is the role that we just created. And you can see when you open it, when you check the permissions, you can see it has access to the Amazon S3 bucket, full access. Since this is just a very basic project, I'm not giving it some certain rights or any other thing. So now that's that. Now the next thing we're going to be talking about is the Amazon S3 bucket. Now, you always hear S3 bucket. I'm sure it's the word that has flown around, even if you're not in data space, it's the word that anybody that is AWS has casually said. So basically, an Amazon, the S3 comes from Simple Storage Service. That's where the S3 comes from. Simple Storage Service, SSS. How it's called S3. Developers must have been very brilliant. So the Amazon S3 is an object storage service that offers scalability, data availability, security, and performance. So it's basically a place, like the buckets, like when you say like a place basically on AWS to store and protect any amount of data for a range of cases, whether data lakes, websites, any kind of data. So it's just like So basically, you can just take it as your storage device in a very, very layman technique. It's just basically like a memory card with information. Like that's what technical do, but that's just like a very, very layman word. So basically, it's just an object storage service that allows you to store data. So this is where we'll be storing our data. This will be we'll be storing the data for this project. So basically, so like that was the reason I gave that role permissions to Amazon S3. So like I said, so everything is done now. I created a user that has permission to access all the data in the S3 buckets. So I'm going to go ahead now and create an S3 bucket. So if you search S3 on the start bar, so basically, you can see Amazon S3 is Amazon S3 is an object storage service that offers industry-leading scalability, availability, security, and performance. So your data is secure. You are worried about it. That data on the cloud is very secure. I'm going to create a bucket. Since I don't have any buckets on, but this is the bucket I want to use. Okay, I think you can set the whatever region you want. I think I'll just stick to this, and then you give it a name, the name of the bucket. So let's call it masterclass. Let's go buckets. Then let's put that has to be unique across, it has to be unique globally. So let's just call it is masterclass underscore buckets available. Okay, I think it's available. Yeah. Okay, you can just leave all the others blank. All the others can leave all the other information defaults and create your buckets. So this is where, okay, it's not available. So let me add probably today's date to it. Today is 22/03 or 21 rather. 21/03, 2024. So whatever, oh, it doesn't have, doesn't use, it doesn't use the underscore. Sorry, it's developer, I'm so used to the underscore. Like, and it's, as a data engineer, and it's that's most data engineers, that's the underscore is the process for the space button. So let's create our buckets. So this is in this bucket that I know it sounds funny, but then you get used to it. It is in this bucket that will be creating, that will be storing whatever data that we have. So let's open our bucket. So in this bucket, you can see the upload. So we can create files and we can upload files, we can create folders of any type. So basically, let's create a folder. Let's create a folder that will store. So let's call it raw underscore data. So we'll just leave every other thing blank, every other thing default. Now, inside is my raw data. I'm going to put now this data. I'm going to bring in this data into my AWS. So you can get this. I got this data from Kaggle, the popular, if you've done anything, Power BI or Tableau. I'm sure you're not far from this data set. I think that's why I choose this data set, because it's a very simple data set to use. So basically, that's SuperCorp data. Okay, so I'm going to upload it inside that file. So I've downloaded it and just copy it here. and then you can see the text, the CSV file. I'm going to upload it to the bucket. So that's going to take, okay, that was fast. Okay, so I'm going to close this. Now that we have our data in our AWS, what is next? Now, the next thing is now to start using our glue, our AWS glue. So like I said, AWS glue allows us to, it's just basically an ETL tool. So let me just search for glue here. So as a data engineer on the cloud, AWS glue is your go-to anytime, any day. So you can monitor, you can orchestrate your workflows, your pipelines, everything here. So AWS Glue helps you to make that magic happen. So briefly, I'll just quickly talk on this part. Now you can see data catalog, databases. Let me just briefly in minutes talk about, because we'll be using it, talk about what those things represent. So basically, data catalog holds the metadata and the structure of the data. So when I say metadata, things like the schema details, everything as regards that data. For example, when I say metadata, for example, a song metadata includes the artist name, the album, the year, the genre, and other things. So basically, the data catalog holds the metadata of that particular data and the structure of the data. Now, the database is more like the storage system inside Glue that used to create or access database for sources and targets. Now, the tables, like normal tables, that's where tables that you bring in are stored. And then the crawler and the classifier. So this is where we'll be doing a little bit of work. The crawler or the classifier. So now, basically, what your crawler does for you, like the name implies, crawler is basically used to populate the AWS Glue catalog with tables. So basically, the crawler is what you use to move the files from your S3 buckets or any other storage resource in AWS, or S3 buckets in this case. Use your crawler to move data from your S3 buckets to your ETL, to your AWS Glue. Now remember, we are working with AWS Glue. That's our ETL platform. So definitely the data is in the S3 bucket. So we definitely have to bring it into the ETL Glue, AWS Glue, for us to work on it. Yes. So the crawler is there are other methods of bringing it, but then the crawler is the primary method by which most AWS Glue users run. So basically, I'm going to show a description of how the crawler works. So basically, I'm going to go to my crawler. Sorry. I'm going to go to my crawlers. I think I had a crawler earlier, which I didn't use, but let me just okay. Let me create a new crawler. So you can call it anything. So you can call it, let's call it ETL, sales ETL. Sales ETL crawler. Next. So we are going to definitely have to add a data source from where it's coming from, so it can bring me that data. So we are going to add a data source, and then we are going to, remember, it's our S3 buckets. Browse S3. So the buckets are loading. We definitely have to connect our crawler to some point. Okay, tickets are still loading. Shouldn't take so much time. Payment supernatural powers. Okay. So my pockets are loading. What's AWS today? Okay, great. So now we see can see the bucket I created earlier, the master class bucket. I enter it, then go to, now this is basically where the data is, but there, so I'd rather just crawl the whole folder. Select that, and I'll choose. So basically you can leave every other thing defaults, and then we add an S3 data source. I'm going to go to next. So basically, we have to choose an IAM rule because it's your IAM rule that would determine whether this caller has permissions to move that data. So we are going to use that IAM rule that glue service rule that we designed earlier, that we created earlier. Next. Now, when you are bringing the data into ETL, into AWS Glue rather, when you are bringing the data into AWS Glue, it has to be stored somewhere. And definitely data is stored in databases and in tables and stored in tables in database. So definitely we have to create a database first. So let's add a database. So basically we can call this since these are raw data, raw sales. Let's just call it raw sale, or let's just call it okay, sales DB. Sales underscore DB. This is the database. Can leave out the rest option. So now we create database. But that's on database. Let's go back to AWS Glue and select that database. Let's refresh it. So that's our sales DB database. Basically, you can leave all the other. So the frequency on demand, basically, since you want, you can create that's the very nice thing about AWS Glue. You can actually determine how often you want that cloud to run. Probably new data is entering. In some cases, you might have new data entering at certain points. For example, in a superstore, people are buying data, people are buying stuff every minute. So that S3 bucket is probably populating every minute or every hour or anyhow it is being designed. So in this case, well, we are not doing that kind of streaming. So we just do on demand, just when we want to run it, we run it. And we do next. So basically everything is in order. The sales ETL caller, our S3 bucket is configured. We've added an IAM rule to it so that we can, so it has the permission to move data. And we create the caller. So basically, now I want to now I've created the caller, and our caller is responsible for moving the data from the S3 bucket to my ETL Glue. I now have to run the caller so that it begins that operation. So basically, I'm going to run the caller. So you can see the status is running. So basically, just wait for it to finish running and check out all the other stuff there. So this is run here, just 5 seconds. It might take about a minute to run. So we just wait for that. But while that is going on, okay, let this finish first. Okay, so class is running. Also, let's edit it. Okay, let me give my, I think I didn't give my, there was, okay, I think this was, I was going to explain this, that I was supposed to give my IAM full access to everything. So I think that's where I'm having the error from. Full administrative access. So I'm basically going to give this user, I only gave him access to Glue and DS3 bucket. So basically, I'm going to give him full administrative access. So administrative access. So let me go back to my Glue. Okay, let me go back to my column. Still okay. So let me confirm all the details in my colors. Is the call all okay? Usable vol. Okay, I didn't put anything though. And let me run it. Yeah. There's a minute. Okay, great. So so now so the reason I had this error, like I said, was because I didn't give my user full access. So he didn't have access to everything in the AWS service. So I was going to explain that why I did not do that when at the beginning. I think I forgot to explain that. So let's move on. So it's very important that your IAM user has the necessary permissions to do what he wants to do. You get your IAM user has to have the necessary permissions, because if it doesn't have permissions, they're not going to be able to do anything. So for example, here we only give it access to the S3 buckets. We didn't give it, I mean, although that administrator access can be too full, then but certain users have to have some access to some things. So you couldn't access some services, some Glue services and other things in the database, in the AWS resource. Okay, so now we can see one table change, 0 partition changes. Okay, so now I'll show you something now. When you go to tables, now you can see your raw data inside SalesDB. Don't mind what I have here. This was the past work. So this inside our SalesDB that we created, the raw data. So if you look at it, you can actually see the data. You can see the data that we have, the row ID, the order ID, the order date, and all of that. So we won't be going into the details of this data since this is raw data. Now, let us continue. Now, the next thing I'm going to be talking about is the ETL job. Now that we have our data in our AWS Glue, we have to run a job that will put the transformation. So basically, a job is just a business logic that carries out the ETL task. So AWS Glue is actually the internal workings of AWS Glue is actually built on Apache Spark with Python. If you are familiar with programming, you know that with data, anything data, you know that Spark is a very, very robust library for handling very large data. So it's basically built on Spark or which is built on Scala anyway. The Scala language, SCAL, but with Python you can handle that. You can handle the Scala and Apache Spark. So basically, let's create an ETL job that will not perform a that will not do a transformation. So basically, we have no jobs. Let's create a job. So basically, there are three ways you can create a job. There is the visual part. You can use a normal notebook, or you can write a script. But in this case, I'll be showing us the visual part, because it's very interesting and very simple. So now, the visual part, you can see you have your sources on this place. You have your image, you have your transform. That is, you can do your aggregations, you can drop null fields, you can write SQL queries, you can do joins and other transformation. And then you have the target data, the target place where you want to put your data. And this is just popular stuff that people do. So basically, our source, the Amazon S3 buckets, definitely that's. So if you go to click on that, that's when I clicked on this plus my source, and then I clicked on my S3 sources, and I clicked on Amazon S3. Now, when you click on this, now I have to connect the source to this. And if I browse my S3 buckets, I'm going to, no, I'm not using data from the source directly. I'm going to use, since my data is now in the, since my data, okay, let's just use this. Let's take data from our S3. Sorry. There's a moment. Okay, so I'm going to click on this. My raw data. This is my raw data, and this is what I have. This is if I'm using, I don't think I want to use this. Okay, let me, since I have, now we could have, this is connecting directly to our Amazon S3 buckets. But we could also have a glue service. That will make more sense since we use a crawler. Now, since we used a crawler, now I'm just trying to explain two ways of bringing your data in. Since we used a crawler to crawl our data into the glue service, we don't need to connect directly to our database again. So basically, click this. I will click this AWS Glue data catalog. Now remember that we brought our data from our S3 buckets to our Glue data catalog. And I click my Glue data catalog as my source. So basically, it's in my SalesDB database. I click on my raw data. Okay, so okay. Basically, so I give, so I can see my preview. I give this. Then basically I can preview my data here. So you would also notice that my preview was also asking for the IAM role that has permissions. So basically it starts starting up for you. That might take a while. So, but I would like us to see that data first. Data first. Let me see. Okay, let me edit the. Let me call it probably actions. I'll call it probably ETL job, sales, ETL job. This data, okay, data preview is setting up 60%. I like us to see, and then okay, save it. It's very important I save it. So it actually great. So I can edit my job details here while data preview is coming up. You can see the job details, sales, ETL job. So the IAM is my glue service rule, definitely, so that it has the permissions. It's built on Spark, the language is Python 3. So you can, if you are familiar with other languages, you can actually choose Scala, Java Python 3 or Scala, basically. So basically you can leave all the others defaults. Let's go back to my visual. 0% complete. Okay, I wish we could actually see the visual. I don't know why AWS is taking time today. Okay, anyway, let's move on. Now, this is where our data is. If we actually could see the preview, we'd actually see, okay, let me see my output schema. Now you can see that I have all the data here, the row ID, the order date, the ship date, the ship mode, the customer ID, and all the data in the table. Basically, all the data in the table. Now, let me go back to my data preview. Yeah, it has not needed. Wait. So you can see basically this is the full data that we have. But now the business doesn't want this. The analytics guys don't now want this. Now this is where it gets interesting. The analytics guys feel that this data is too much for them. They want it broken down and aggregated so that they just go straight to the point with their analysis. So I'm going to click on this. Now I'm going to do a transform. Now I want to now transform the data. So the first thing I'm going to do is to aggregate. Now, if you go back to the case study, you will see that they actually want, okay, the transform stage. Now, use AWS Glue to perform transformations on the raw sales data. Group the data. Now, this is business logic. This is what they want. Group the data by product category and subcategory. Then calculate aggregate metrics such as total sales and total orders. They calculate average sales per order by dividing total sales by total orders. So what they want is basically the product categories, then the total sales and total orders of those product categories and products. So basically, we are going to do some aggregation here. So I'm going to look for aggregates. Yes, this is aggregates. So you can see it's connected to it. The parent mode is connected to this. Okay, I need to the parent mode now. If I choose the parent mode to come to this, let's set the other things. Now, the field to group by, remember, I want to group by the product and the category and the product category and the product subcategory. I'm going to go to group by these two things. Then which columns am I actually aggregating? I'm going to click on my symbols. Okay, please. I want to aggregate the sales. I want to get total sales. I'm going to do a sum. Okay. Basically, then I also want to aggregate the number of orders. So I'm going to field to aggregate, the order ID is unique. So I'm going to count it, count this thing, count in case another ID appears twice. It will give me the count there. It will just give me one count if it appears twice. So basically, when I get those columns, if I click on it, you can see what we have here. I have the subcategory, I have the category, I have the sum sales, I have the count order ID. Now, I would also put this is why AWS Glue is very, very, very easy and easy to use, because you don't necessarily have to write the codes. Although that in case where you have to write codes, but then this is a very low code way of doing ETLs. So but you can check out the script. It's actually also generated the script at the back end. This is actually the script in Spark. Remember, we're using Spark. This is actually the script in Spark. If you're actually going to write the script, this is what you're writing. But then we're using drag and drop, which is actually very interesting. So basically, we have this data like this. So basically, let me rename my data so I can go to I can add another one, my transform. I can rename, I'm going to be renaming 3 fields. So you click on rename field. You can also put the title of whatever you are doing. But okay, so I want to fill down to rename the parent node aggregate, yes. Let's rename a subcategory. We can call this rename subcategory. I want to remove that. So I'm renaming subcategory. Let me also rename the sum sales. So you can see you have it changing as you're doing it. Rename field. Go here again. It should be attached to my rename subcategory. Yep. I'm doing one by one. We're going to be done another way, but then since this is the basic master class, I want to bore us with, let's call this total sales. Yes, total sales. No spaces. So name total sales. And lastly, I'm going to rename the total orders. Okay, let me call it. Choose field, count, let's call it total orders. Okay, basically, that's what we have. We are data preview. Now you can see we have the category, subcategory, total sales, total and total orders. So basically, we have what we want. Okay, no, it remains one field. It remains the average. It remains the average sales. You can see the output schema too, and their data types. So anyway, so data preview. Let's now add let me add now also a very good thing about it is in case you have a situation where probably you want to probably do a complex transformation and you can't find what you are looking for on the visuals, you can actually write your own SQL query. So basically, I want to write an SQL query that will give us our average, average to what's it again? The average sales per order by dividing total sales by total orders. So basically, I'm going to be writing an SQL query to do this. So I tried to do this so I can have a feel of how an SQL query looks like. So basically, you can see the SQL query comes out. So I'm not selecting star. So I'm going to select my category. I'm going to select my sub category. And I'm going to select my, how does my total sales look like again? Total sales, okay. Total sales. I'm also going to say my total orders. And lastly, I'm going to be selecting my total sales over my total orders. Let's call it the average sales. So you can see the data preview is adjusting as we are doing it. So I think basically we have what we want. We've transformed from this full data that we had and using transformation techniques, we transformed to this point, basically. So now we need to load it back into our S3 bucket. So basically, let's go back to our S3 buckets. Let me search for S3. Let me search for S3. What's S2? Let me move down. Let me save this. Hope I saved it. Oh, you save it. Oh, I didn't save it. Okay, let me restore it. It's very important to actually save. So that when you go back and come back, you don't have issues. So I've saved now. So databases. So databases behind our sales DB. So we have a folder for our raw data. So let's add another. Let's add. No, this I'm choosing my S3 buckets. Not my. I'm saving to my S3 buckets. Let's click on this. So this is the final step. So this is my buckets. I have my raw data. I'm going to put another folder. Let's call it transformed underscore data. So I'm going to create the folder. So basically, I'm going to be putting my data inside my transform data inside this folder. So I have my raw data here, my transform folder here. So let me go back to my S3 bucket and my AWS Glue. And now I'm going to add, after all said and done, I'm going to add the targets that I'm going to store my data. So now I have, I'm going to store in an Amazon S3 bucket. So this should be in, the parent should be, this is one for my SQL query. So if you move this here, and actually see that it's connected to my SQL query. The format is Parquet. Parquet is actually very small and easy to use. It's like CSV, JSON, but Parquet is and AWS Antenna also uses Parquet. It's very fluid with Parquet. So let's leave it as Parquet. The data type, so just like your Excel and your JSON and your CSV, but Parquet is compressed, very, very compressed. So we are going to definitely create a table in our data catalog. So we can create a table and update the schema and add new transformations in our data catalog in our AWS Glue. So our AWS Glue is also going to contain the transformed data. Our AWS Glue already contains raw data. Our AWS Glue is also going to contain the transformed data. So inside that we can use that same database, and we can give it another name. Let's call it transformed data. And leave that's default. Then we have to select our S3 buckets where we are the target location, where we are storing it. We are storing it as our master class and inside our transform data. We're going to choose that. And when you actually wait a while, this would can save it. So I'm done with all this. Then again, So if I click on this, you should see the data I'm working with. Okay, so basically, we're going to run it now. After all said and done, okay, we can see the output schema. It's not showing us we can't see our data from the bucket since it's not inside the thing. So okay, basically I'm going to let me save it again to be sure I saved it. I'm going to run. So the job is running, and you can go to run details to. So while this is going to take about 2 minutes to run, you can see runs, and then you can see the code behind it. So for everything you can see the code has increased. It's now more complex. It even has. It's even so these are aggregates. So if you are familiar with Spark programming, you'll notice that this is exactly what you write normally to aggregate. To do this, the script for the renaming, all of that. So this is the Spark context, initializing of Spark and all of that, and other things like that. So definitely at analytics, we also as data engineer, you have to know Spark. So graduates of technical analytics definitely know, will see this and understand the code immediately. So we are just for both of these masterclass, I just do the visual, but as data engineer, you have to actually know Spark. You have to actually, so I can handle big data. Let me go back to my run. Yes, still running for 9 seconds. So while that does, since I'm done here, this all since I've done, I think my ETL. Basically, what did I do? Basically, what did I do? I extracted data. I extracted data into my S3 buckets. Okay, first of all, I created a role and I gave it S3 bucket, S3 access, and administrator access to access everything. So I created a role to do that. Then I'm using Glue as my service, as my ETL service. So basically, I brought that data into my AWS Glue, into my databases. You come here, into the database and into a table inside my AWS Glue. So that would serve as my source. Since my data is now in my AWS Glue, I don't have to connect to my S3 bucket again. Then I'll aggregate it, do all the aggregations, all the transformations that I want to do. So I move from here. I move from this plenty data that we have here to this data that we have here. So back to once. Succeeded. So it's now table view. Okay, not here. This is just the views of the ETL. You can see that the card. This actually gives more information. The startup time, 2 seconds startup, the end time, start time, and all of that. So this gives more information. So basically, if you go to tables here, remember I said it stores the data in our S3 buckets and also stores the transform data in our ETL group. So it's from our ETL group, you can now connect to Antenna to inside our AWS to visualize. Now, our developers, our analytics guys, and other data scientists, they can now connect. If you go to that S3 buckets, they can now connect to these S3 buckets and pull out their data from these packet files. They can pull out the data from there, or if they are working in Antenna and in AWS, Antenna has this query tool they can connect to. You want to create data, just like your MySQL or your pgadmin, MySQL Workbench, your pgadmin to now query the data. So if you want to query data and see how it looks like, so this was our transformed data, like SalesDB. Don't forget we are dealing with this too, the SalesDB. If I click on it, you can see this table overview. Sorry, I can also see the table data. So now, the SQL editor for AWS, like I said, AWS has a lot of services, which includes like a version of your pgadmin or your MySQL. So you can actually run queries, normal SQL queries on your AWS antenna. So basically, if I run this, you can see my data. I have my category, my subcategory, total sales, total orders. So basically, I've done what the business asked me to do. Finally, the transform that we loaded back into these 3 buckets, making it accessible for the analytics guys for further processing. And this loaded data can be viewed and queried using Amazon or AWS antenna. So this is just a very basic ETL project or ETL case study that I've just worked on, moving the data from a normalized view to now demoralize it and broken into bits. So in the full project will actually involve you probably having a table for your category, a table for your customers, and different things like that. But in this case, we're just dealing with one part of it, which is just the category. So as data engineer, you might be involved in actually creating much more tables from that data. So at this point, your data analysts can easily connect to this data and making their work easier, and they can now create their dashboards and do their analysis. So this brings me to the end of this case study. So I hope you understood it and you enjoyed the presentation. Okay, so Benga, Olawale, can I?
All right. Thank you very much, Iyoluwa. That was an interesting one.
Stop sharing.
Can you hear me, Iyoluwa?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, all right. Thank you very much. That was an interesting one. So do you want me to take over the screen now?
Yeah, you can take over. Here.
All right. So if you stop sharing yours, I can just.
Okay. Guys, stop sharing. This is it. Stop sharing here. Okay, stop sharing. Over to you.
All right, thank you very much, Iyoluwa. That was a very interesting session. If for those who are listening, interested in being a data engineer, if there is one thing you should learn from or pick from this session, or what all that Iyoluwa has done so far, is just the fact that as a data engineer, you are that person that makes sure you gather that data, extract it from wherever you have to, transform it, clean it up literally, then load it in a safe place where data analysts and data scientists can easily pick that data and use it for their analysis and what have you. Thank you again, Iyoluwa. So I'll pick things up from here and show you what the data engineering program looks like at Tenalytics and how you can be a part of it. Like I mentioned before, our facilitators are seasoned professionals who have their daytime jobs as professional data engineers during the week, but on weekends, they literally come out to pour out all they know into people and mentor them to become data engineering professionals like them. So let me just take you through the journey on how to join a data engineering program at Tenalytics. So this is practically the overview. Yeah, first, you need to understand that it is 100% online learning, and then it's virtual and instructor-led, meaning look at the session you just had with Iyoluwa now. This is a practical example of what your class is going to look like. The difference from this one is just that you'll be able to call him and tell him, okay, I do not understand this part. Can you take it back a bit? Can you do this? Can you do that? So it's basically online where students join from all parts of the world. Then of course, again, it's hands-on practical videos and with exercises and projects So you just pick the project now to work on based on sales data and all of that. So that is exactly what all the programs, all the modules that you'll be running through is going to look like. So you're not coming to learn what is AWS or what is the defined transform. You're actually using all of these things in practical real life projects. So it makes your learning faster and makes everything stick a lot better. So of course, again, you also have a lifetime access to your training materials. Yeah, we use for your account on Analytics, you have a lifetime access. So after your training program, you can always go back to them to look back at what you were taught and then refresh your memory on different parts of the courses. Then of course, we have up to 20 classes and 50 topics that you will run through the 5 months program of the data engineering program at Analytics. Then, of course, again, I'd like to mention the fact that as a data engineer in Nigeria, the average salary is 8 million naira per annum. And in the UK, you'll be earning as much as over 52,000 pounds per annum as a data engineer. So during all of the classes, like I mentioned, you'll be working based off projects, based off case studies. So by the end, you are going to have at least 10 projects to add to your portfolio. One important thing to note about the tech ecosystem is that people are interested in what you can do. And then how do you show them what you can do? That's where your portfolio comes in. So it's not just about giving out CVs or presenting your CVs as, oh, I know this, I know that, I graduated from this, I have this certificate. What can you do? So that is where we take projects very important, and we help you to develop, to build your portfolio while doing your training. So you can get up to 10 projects before the program runs out. Then of course, the job prospect is very high. Data engineering is very high in demand. And of course, this is one of the reasons why we selected some of these programs to be able to put out there for people who are transitioning into tech to be able to delve into these programs quickly. And of course, the program is industry relevant. The courses are up to date. You know how fast moving the tech ecosystem can be. Before today, you'll be talking about AWS, tomorrow you're talking about Google Cloud, next tomorrow is something else that is trending. So whatever it is trending, whatever is relevant in the industry at every point in time is what Analytics puts out there for each of the programs we have. And like I mentioned, it's a 5 months program. 3 months is active learning in the class. Yeah, but for 2 months, you'll be doing project works that you use to build your portfolio. I'm going to speak more about the 2 months virtual learning internship program shortly. So I'll move straight to out the path to becoming a data engineer with Analytics. What are the courses like? What are the modules like from beginning to becoming a master data engineer? First, we start with the introduction to data engineering. All right. Then the next is you learn some Python and SQL. Iolu has done a little bit of SQL on this session so far. So you're going to learn a lot more about it and Python also, and that's how that is useful in the data engineering ecosystem. Then also you'll be learning about bash command, version control, Linux, and GitHub. The time doesn't permit him to actually delve into some of that in this program, but it's something you'll be learning a lot more about once the program starts. Then of course, you'll be learning data modeling. He did a bit of data modeling in this program. In this masterclass, but you'll be delving more deeper into that when you sign up for the program. And there's also Pandas. Pandas is a package on, it's a Python package that is majorly focused on data engineering, data analytics, and the likes. So you'll be delving deep into that, learning that to also help your data engineering skills. Then you'll be learning things around Apache PySpark, data extraction. You saw how he did some data extraction earlier in this. Then cleaning and transformation. You also did some of that too in this masterclass that you just listened to. And of course, cloud computing, which is the major of what Iolu has taken us to so far today. Then you notice he mentioned a lot of AWS, S3 buckets and things like that. Using all of that to show us a simple ETL case study. Then of course, the data pipeline and orchestration. Then how do you now connect all of these data to put them in places where it's easy access for data analysts and data scientists, and to be able to use this data for decision making and to help a business make better decisions. After all of this, once you perfected all of this, then you can be rest assured you're a master data engineer, ready for the job market and ready to do your day-to-day activities as a data to compete, basically, in the data engineering ecospace. Now, let me tell you why you should train with Tenalytics, all right? There are 4 major reasons why you should train with us, but this is just an overview. I'm going to delve deeper into some of the things that you'll be enjoying at why you should join Tenalytics. So we have a phenomenal achievement so far. Like I mentioned earlier in this, before we started this session, I told you that we have helped over 2,000 students transition from the classroom into their first tech career. That is a phenomenal achievement for in the past 3 years of existence. And of course, our facilitators are industry standard with brilliant experience, up-to-date curriculum. They are trainers from the best companies you can think of. You can check from the profile of Iyoluwa himself. This is a seasoned professional who come to classes weekends to pour out their knowledge into students and mentor them to become data engineers like them also. And then, of course, our training program is blended to accommodate every learning type. So there are people who learn faster than others. Yeah, so the way the program works, if you see the arrow I showed earlier, you start from introduction to data engineering, you go to Python and SQL. So how it works is when you start your first program, say on a Saturday, the programs happen on weekends, Saturdays and Sundays. So when you do introduction to data engineering on Saturday, on Sunday, we are going to send you a video on Python and SQL. That is going to prepare you for the next Saturday where you will meet the facilitator who's going to teach you on that course. So in a way, watching that What We Do video, it prepares you for the next step or the next module in your course. That way, you are literally a step ahead of your facilitator. And of course, this helps you to learn and prepare you for the class. And whatever the facilitator is telling you in class is more or less just hammering down or doubling down on whatever it is you've watched on that What We Do a video on that Saturday. So then the Sunday, again, you get another video that prepares you for the upcoming Saturday. So that way we're able to accommodate people who learn fast and those who do not. So for that Saturday now, whatever it is you still don't understand, there are drop-in sessions during the week. Like you can now come into and ask questions from your coordinators, from your facilitators, ask questions from your teammates, and work on projects together to help your learning journey a lot more faster. And of course, the sessions are positioned they are positioned you to land your first job, meaning we have some strategic power-packed strategies that help you land the first job in tech, from CV reviews, LinkedIn optimization, interview preps, and all of that. I'm going to delve more about that in our additional employability services at Tenalytics. So our layered approach to learning, which helps us stand out, which we have tried over the years, and like I said, it's helped over 2,000 transition into their first tech career, is this. Let me just show you this 3 level that with our additional employability service, more or less the add-on to just your training. So like I always say, it's easy for anybody to go to YouTube to go and learn data engineering, but then you could get lost because there's a lot of knowledge to put. After the structure that we put into our learning programs by professionals to make sure you are ready to get a job, there are additional employability services, and I'm going to take you the levels that all of these follow to help you become a seasoned professional in that short time. First is the CV review. Yeah, regardless of your educational background or your career background, you're transitioning to a data engineer, there are CV review sessions that would help you tailor your CV into your new career path. And that way, you're able to first pass through the application tracking system that most HR professionals use these days to filter out CVs that are not top-notch. So those CV review sessions are going to help you position yourself first to scale through applicant tracking system, and then next is to help you through to make you favorable in terms of showing you as a seasoned professional in the tech ecosystem, even though you're just coming in. Then, of course, there is the LinkedIn optimization. Most people here have social media accounts, and I'm sure you spend a lot of time trying to make them look good and all of that. But then your LinkedIn also deserves that much tender loving care in terms of optimizing it to be able for potential recruiters to be able to search for you and then give you that job. Because, like I said, all of the courses basically that we offer at Analytics, by our study, shows that there are programs, there are courses that there are skill shortage in those areas, so they are high demand. So HR professionals actually search for people on LinkedIn who are data engineers, data analysts, and the like. So your LinkedIn optimized means it's easy for you to be found in the pool of talent that are on that channel. And of course, there's Upwork optimization also. This is basically to help you out in terms of people who want to do short gigs and all of that, freelance gigs, short-term gigs, and the like. So on Upwork, we help you optimize your Upwork also, so that people who are employers looking for short-term contractors can easily find you on Upwork. And of course, navigating the job market can be a bit dicey if you don't know how to go about it in terms of your location and your career path and what have you. So we help you also give you mentorship sessions on how to navigate your job market regardless of where you are, regardless of your location, be UK, US. How do you target the market? How do you navigate the market in all of these locations? And of course, there is job and interview preparation. This is where, when you get an interview invite, before you go to that interview, you can reach out to us at Analytics, and we'll literally sit you down and simulate that interview with you. And that way, it preps you for what you are likely to get when you eventually go for your real interview. I'm going to show you testimonials about some of our students who have enjoyed some of this service and how it has helped to boost their confidence. So imagine you being a medical doctor for the past 10 years. Now you decided you want to transition into tech and you want to do data engineering. Your first interview might be a lot of, might be a bit tense and all of that. But instead of taking that tension into that first interview, the interview prep is where we help you sieve out some of that, help you check what you're eventually going to say to your potential employer, and help you filter out the noise and make it as clean as possible, building your confidence in the process. Then finally is the recommendation letter. So how are you able to prove your knowledge in that short period of time, say 5-6 months, you're done with Analytics, and now you've gotten your foot into the door for an interview. They will ask for a recommendation letter. So these are some of the things that will give you at Analytics to be able to vouch for you and say, oh, this person is actually good at what they do. They've done projects and they are ready to actually deliver on a job. So the second level is the mentorship sessions that happens during the week. Yeah. So these sessions are where seasoned professional in data engineering will come to have talks with you. They've been through whatever it is you're going through now in terms of attending a masterclass like this as a newbie, but then going on to become professionals of 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 10 years experience in data engineering. So they come out in those mentorship sessions to pour out all they know and then help you shorten your journey. We cannot underestimate the power of mentorship in almost every aspect of life. So this is something we actually take very seriously, and we help to build confidence in our students. Then there is on-the-job support. And how does this work? So there is that imposter syndrome that might come up when you get on the job, things that might show up that you're probably not really sure of. I use the analogy of someone who's learned to be a carpenter as an apprentice. Yeah, the person who is teaching you how to be a carpenter will probably tell you, just build a table, build cupboards, build chairs, and all of that, and you're good to go. And then that's basically what you need to do as a carpenter. But then there is the part where you now get to, someone now tells you, this is the type of wood I want, this is the type of wood I want, this is the type of wood I want. You might not be sure what type of wood you want. I mean, you want to get for that client. So it's safe for you to now go back to your boss and be like, boss, I can build a table now, but I don't know the types of wood that are available. How do you let me know? So that's what the on-the-job support looks like. So if there are things you come across on the job, you can always come back to Analytics and we'll help you scale through whatever hurdle that might come up. So with all of this, so there are two sides to the coin now. There is a side where we carefully select the programs that will teach you, making sure that you are learning what you actually need to do your day-to-day job as a data engineer. There are these additional services that we have added on to the program. Then there is your own commitment to what you have paid for and your commitment to learn, your eyes on the prize, your eyes on the goal. And with all of this, attending all of these sessions attending your classes, then attending all of these sessions that where we teach you how to review your CV, LinkedIn optimization, how to navigate the job market, following up on mentorship sessions, and checking back on us when you get interview preps and all of that. If you do all of this, you can be assured and guaranteed of a job interview immediately after completing a program with Tenalytics. Yeah, so this is where two of us now meet at the middle. Yeah, we have the courses, we have all the additional services to help you boost your confidence and ready for a job. Then there is you playing your part in terms of putting your heads down, learning, and then following up on all the projects, following up on all mentorship sessions and the likes, and then you are guaranteed of an interview 1 month into the program. So there are new things we introduced in 2024. Yeah, that's body mentorship. This body mentorship is literally people who have gone through our programs and gotten jobs. Yeah, they feel the need to give back. And then they come to body mentorship sessions where they now talk to to students also, and then listen to them, let them know that they have started this journey also before, from making that decision to transition into tech, coming to a master class like this, from the master class going on to paying for the course and attending classes and then getting that job. So they come back to now let you know, listen to you, understand what the journey is like presently, and see how they can also help you build your confidence and push you along the line also. And of course, our internship program is also enhanced for data engineering, for instance. Instead of the 1 month that you do if you were doing data engineering, for data and analytics, for 1 month you would if you're doing data analytics, data science. For data engineering, you'll be doing a 2 month internship program. So that way you're well cooked and ready to work as a data engineer. That is where you build all your portfolio. So as you're submitting your CV as a data engineer, you have a solid portfolio to also present to your potential employer in that 2 month internship program. Then of course also we have partnering with recruitment agencies who are looking for top talents who can deliver. Like I said, there's a shortage in all of the courses, all of the programs that we are offering at Tenalytics. There is a constant need for data engineer, constant need for data scientists, constant need for data analysts, business analysts, and Scrum Masters and the likes. So basically, we've partnered with some recruitment agencies such that immediately you're done and you're good at what you do, you're top of the class, we actually recommend you to some of these recruitment agencies, and then you're quickly able to get an interview, and once you do well, you get the job. So now, why are we offering a scholarship? I mentioned earlier, so for the women on this call, let me just be sure, I still have some women on this call. If you're a woman on this call, I have some interesting news for you. Just type in a 1 on this call. Let me know you're with me. Type in a 1 in the chat box if you're a woman on this call. The men, I'm not underestimating your presence. There is something for you also, maybe like a few of you, but for the women, most importantly, I have something interesting to share with you. So if you're a woman on this call, just type in 1 and get ready for what I have for you. So basically, let me just delve through into why we are at Tenalytics. We decide at March of every year that we want to do something for the women. Yeah, basically, as it is now, as of 2023, women hold just less than 30% of the technology jobs globally. Yeah, and you likely find women as chief technology officers or head of engineering. Women as hardly represented in some of these roles. Yeah. So, and again, from what we have seen, the percentage of women in all tech-related careers have decreased over the last 2 years. Yeah. And according to the Women in Tech Network, you can actually read more about this here when you get this slide. It will take about 133 years to close the economic gap between men and women in terms of how many women are in tech and even in the job market generally. So at Tenalytics, we've decided to take the initiative and make sure that we help as many women as possible into the tech ecosystem. It's something we started last year, and it's as published on Punch newspaper here. We helped over 300 women last year to transition into tech by giving them a good amount of discount on how much would actually sell our training programs. Yeah. So now you have you have the opportunity to join in the next cohort, which is starting on the 6th of April. Our cohort starts on the first Saturday of every month. So I'm trying to get as many women as possible into that cohort come April. And how do you get into this program as a woman? How do you get advantage of this scholarship? Yeah. First, you have to just make 50% of any training program that you're interested in. Could it be data engineering, data analytics, whichever one you're interested in, pay 50% of the original price I would usually sell. Then make sure you're part of the first 300 women or the first 50 men. Like I said, I still have a few slots for men, but I still have close to 100 for women to fill up before the end of the month, when the program is going to end. So make your 50% payment before then, and then you can start your journey into tech from the 6th of April. So how much exactly are we talking about here? For data engineering program, the full amount is $750 or £625, or then 1,050 Canadian dollars. But then for the discount, like I said, we are slashing it by 50% for 300 women and 50 men. We started from the 1st of March, and a lot of the slots have been taken already. We have a few left for the women, and I'd like most women to take advantage of that on this call. So instead of this price, you're paying 50% of it, which is $375 if you're paying from the US, and $313 if you're paying from Europe or UK and the likes. And if you're in Canada, you're paying $525. If you're in Nigeria also, you can also make your payment using this link here. So all you have to do is just click on this link, and then it takes you to the payment portal where you select your data engineering core program and then make payments. My colleagues are on this call. They're going to share this link on the call now, so you can actually go ahead and make that payment to secure your slot right now on this call. So if you have any issues in terms of making payments, I'm going to stay on this call for another 15 to 20 minutes to answer any request or any issues you might have as regards payment. So my colleagues are going to share this link with you now for you to make payments and then secure your spot quickly. So while you do that, let me just show you a few testimonials and see how our training programs have been able to transform lives in real time. Like I said, it always seems impossible until it is done. For most people, they also attended this session and thinking, oh, how am I going to start? Where do I start from? Or from there, they've been able to transform their lives to become tech professionals. So this is our good friend, Ini. He got a job as a CEO of a tech company after joining 10Analytics. He joined our data science program just in October. And by January, he already got a job as a CEO. This is someone who went to get a job, who went to interview for something else. But based off what he has to offer as a value, he was immediately made the CEO for that tech company. Also, Ife landed a job as a business analyst after 3 months of joining the 10Analytics program. We also have Nathaniel here, who's a business analyst. He joined our data engineering program in July 2023 and completed by October. And by December 2023, he got a job as a business analyst. We also have Kehinde. Let me play one video for you about, okay, this is Ini again. Let me just, so you take a few seconds to read through what he has to say about 10Analytics. He's the CEO of Growth Stack and how 10Analytics helped him to build his confidence to be able to get that job. Look at what he said about the mentorship session every Thursday shaped my mind towards success. So that's why I said we take our mentorship sessions very seriously. Every Thursday, you meet with people who are going to really boost your confidence and give you that that confidence to be able to achieve even way more than you thought you can do for yourself. So he said, look at what he said here. Need I say Tenalytics are wonder workers? Though the goal was not to become a CEO, not to become a CEO. I landed it after the employing team saw my CV and interviewed. So this ties that back down to what I told you about CV review sessions, where we help you bring out the gold mine inside your CV. Yeah, there are things you have on your CV. There are things you have learned in the past that you would be surprised how it relates to your pursuits to become a data engineer. And now we're able to help you coin all of that and solidify your CV. Then the interview sessions also, the job preparation session, where we grill you and give you that confidence to be able to speak to any employer and with confidence, even though you just transitioned into tech in a very short period of time. I want to play a video for you about one of our students and how she transitioned into tech. So this is Hikmat. She's also she's a full-time she's a full-time stay-at-home mom in the UK and now a data analyst with the NHS in the UK with full visa sponsorship. She was also a beneficiary of the International Women's Day Scholarship last year, and then it's something that's helped her transition. And now her story is way different from what it was a year before. Let me just play a video quickly. And so while you go ahead and make your payment, you can listen to what she has to say and pick a few things from what I've said so far and how she's been able to apply all of those things to help her transition into tech. So just give me a second and this video is going to play.
I was with the March cohort in Tenor. Hi everyone, my name is Ikmat and I was with the March cohort in Tenalytics, and joining Tenalytics has been the best decision so far. You know, for me, someone coming from a background of full housewife, because I had to stay back home to look after my child for 4 years, and then wanting to break into something new, wanting to go back into the workforce, you know, wanting to place myself in the society for better job opportunities. So it was a lot. And then I'm glad that Tenalytics came along and then they presented me with so many opportunities right in front of me, better opportunities. And then I'm glad I took it. And then also the advice of do not sell yourself short, that Ife is always saying, it is very, very valid, because place yourself right, you know, don't sell yourself short. It's a very, very, very valid advice. You know, in Tenalytics, they will hold your hands like a child, you know, through the modules. You have the opportunity to go back and study. You have the opportunity to go back and practice. You have the opportunity to ask questions. You know, you have people you can always go back to, even outside of class hours. It's the most amazing experience so far, really. And then another thing is the interview prep, guys. That is another very important thing. I did my interview prep with Mr. Mohammed, and it's the best decision ever, because it was like he saw into the future. He knew what was going to be asked, and I'm glad that I wrote down all the things he mentioned. I went back to practice, and then when it was time for the interview, it was like everything he was mentioning, everything he mentioned, it was just they kept on. And then when I was answering those questions, I was so confident, you know, because I already practiced. I did an Excel test, I did a math test, and then they were really impressed. And another thing is, guys, it may not come as fast as you expect. Definitely, you are going to get some no's, and then you may begin to think you're not good enough. You are good enough, yes. The no's will come, but always take it as a basis for learning and development, because after every interview where I got a no, I always make sure I get a personal feedback. So I work on those feedbacks for my next interviews. And yes, it worked. It really worked for me, because I got my first job 3 months into the program, my first job. But I couldn't take up the job because I was a student and I was only eligible to work 20 hours. So I couldn't take up the job. 3 months later, I got 2 jobs with full visa sponsorship. And guys, all the other no's before the 2 jobs prepared me for the yeses I got. So yes, the no's will come, but do not give up, because you always have Tenalytics to go back to. They are the best, and the best thing that's ever happened to me. And then yes, and they are the most affordable. The most affordable one I've come across so far. And that's a very good advantage. So yes, Tenalytics for the win.
All right, so literally just heard from the horse's mouth how she's been able to take advantage. You heard her mention things like the CV review sessions, the Upwork optimization, LinkedIn optimization, the interview prep also, and how that's helped her to build her confidence. This is someone who has been a, like she mentioned, a full-time stay-at-home mom, and then going on to transition to become a data analyst, getting a first job, and then not being able to take up that job because she was still a student, then going on to get 2 more jobs with full visa sponsorship, just by learning with Tenalytics. So it's more than just the learning, right? There is also the additional services, like I mentioned. That is what makes us stand out. That's the value add that we put together to really help you transition and then build that confidence to be able to work as a professional, yeah, in the tech ecosystem. This is something the co-founders took their time to think about and put out there, because they did it by themselves without mentorship and all of that. But then you don't have to spend another 3-4 years also being to transition into tech. They've been able to structure all of this, put out all that you need to be able to transition in a very shorter period of time. And that's where you have 5 months, 4 months programs, with all these additional packages that's come into it. All you need to do is to just put your heads down for that 5 months, that 4 months, and tell yourself, okay, I want to change my life within this 4 months period, within this 5 months period, and then you're good to go. So there are a lot more testimonials here. We'll spend the rest of the night listening to each one of them. So I advise that you may go to Tenalytics YouTube channel, and then you see we have a plethora of testimonials that come in every day that you can check out for yourself. And this is something that cannot be tailored. Yeah, it is obvious results that we put out there. So for the women on this call, I'll advise you to take advantage of the scholarship and pay with the IWD discount. And like I said, if you have any issues or any problems with making your payment, you can please let me know. And in the next few minutes, I'll be glad to answer your questions and help you out to secure your spot. So I want to just, again, probably just go through the payment link to show you what it's going to look like and how you can make your payment at your convenience. So if you click on the link that my colleagues will be sharing with you, once you select, it takes you to the enrollment center. Yeah, so let this load up. Once you get to this enrollment center, there are 2 things you are going to do here. You are going to make payments. Okay, there are 3 things actually, very important. You can make your payment on this enrollment center. You will come back here and upload your payments receipt for the admissions officer to start processing your admission and giving you your welcome kit. Then you can also access brochures to all of our programs. So to make your payments, once you land on this page, just click on Visit Store. Yeah. So once you click on Visit Store, it's going to show you the list of all the programs, the training programs that we have. So depending on your location, it's going to show your currency. So data engineering, because I'm in Nigeria, it's showing me in Naira. So for data engineering, if you're paying in Naira, you're paying a minimum, you're paying 450,000 Naira, which is the 50% of 900,000, which you would usually pay for if you're paying Naira. So once you have 450,000, then you can reserve a seat. Yeah. So here you enter your name, enter your email address, enter your phone number, and then you can proceed to check out. Let me just show you what that looks like quickly. Let me enter my name, email address. Let me just type number here. Then you can proceed to checkout. So at the checkout point, then you can enter your card details and make your payment just like you would on any other platform, online platform. If you also want to do a transfer, you can just use the transfer here and then make your transfer within 30 minutes here before this expires. Or you can use your card payment and run through that quickly. So once you make your payment, take a screenshot, then you now come back to this place and then you select IWD payment registration link, and then you click on this. So once you click on this, then it takes you to a Google form where you now fill in your details. You fill in your details and upload your payment link, your payment receipt rather. So with this payment receipt, within 2 to 3 days, we'll confirm your payment, and then you get an email to confirm your payment, and then your slot is secured. So one other thing to let you know is, if you're not sure about the program you want to go with yet, while you are uploading your documents, you would see where you'll be asked to speak with a professional. So you can select, I need to speak to a professional. So at that point, we'll now reach out to you to attend a one-on-one session, which happens on Tuesdays. So in that one-on-one session, you can now talk to a professional who will listen to you and listen to your background, your educational background, your career background, and what have you. Then we can now help you out to see reasons why, or see the differences between all the programs you have. And in the end, you can decide by yourself and say, okay, I think I lean more towards this than this, or maybe I think I can do better at this than the other one. And then you can go ahead and decide for yourself in that regard. So, but the first, most important thing is that you secure your spot for the next cohort, which is April, by taking advantage of the 50% discount for the International Women's Day. So for the men on the call, I have limited slots for men. From the beginning of this month to this point, I think I have less than 10 slots left for men. Yeah, so for the men on this call, like I said, for 2-3 men, you can still take advantage. Or we have a lot more for women. We reserved a lot more for women, and I'm expecting to see women take advantage of this and begin their career into tech. If you check from the testimonial I shared with you just a few minutes ago, this is someone who hasn't worked for years. Yeah, a full-time stay-at-home mom, transitioning to become a data analyst, and then getting a full-time, a full visa sponsorship, and in that regard with the NHS. So forget about where you're coming from, or literally do not bother yourself about where you're coming from. Just think about where you're going to, and then follow through on the training program, attend your classes, watch your videos that will be sent to you, attend your mentorship sessions, and trust me, it's a power-packed arrangement that's surely going to get you into that tech career in the shortest period of time. So, like I said, Mr. Eken is asking the prices. So let me just share that with you again. I don't know if it's Eken prices. So this is for data engineering, $375 is what you're paying if you're in the US. If you're in UK, you're paying $313, and then Canada, you can pay $527. If you're in Nigeria, you're paying $450,000. Just use this link wherever you are in the world. It's going to show you the currency for where you are, and then you can use that to make your payment. So Eken, my colleagues on the call are going to help you out in case you need assistance in making payments or using the payment link. So I'm open to answer questions for the next few minutes before we call it a wrap. Or feel free to also fill the attendance form or fill the form there to show your interest, so we can keep a slot for you for the next 2-3 days before the slots are filled up. So fill the form. If you need to talk to someone before you make your payment, or you need some assistance, I'll stay on this call for another 5 to 10 minutes to help you out. If you have questions also related to what Iolua has taught us today. You could also ask, and I believe if he's on this call, he'll be happy to answer your questions. Okay, yes, he's still here. We'll be happy to answer your questions also. So go ahead and type your questions in the chat, or you can just use the raise hand icon, and I would unmute you and listen to whatever questions you might have, and I'll be glad to answer them. So, guys, you have the floor. Use the chat, or you can use the raise hand icon, and I'll be happy to answer any questions that you might have regarding the program itself, regarding payment, regarding the additional employability services that I mentioned, regarding some of our testimonials or our past participants, regarding their internship programs. I'll be glad to answer any questions you might have. So please use the raise hand icon, or you can type in your question in the chat. So we have another 4 minutes to do that before we call it, before we close the curtains. All right, so information reaching me says there are about 80 slots left for women and less than 10 for men, basically. So so for the women on this call, take advantage. If you need to speak to someone in private, feel free to reach out to my colleagues on the chat, or you can send me a personal message, a direct message on this chat here, and I'll be happy to assist also in any way that I can. So we have about 3 more minutes to go. If you have any questions, please feel free. Akin, I hope I've been able to answer your questions as regard the prices. This is it on the screen right now. You can just take a screenshot, and then you pick things. You can go ahead to make payment, or you reach out to my colleagues. You see Lydia, you see Benga on the call, or you can reach out to me also personally, and I'll be happy to assist you in making your payment and also finalizing your enrollment to the program. All right. So we have 3 more minutes to go. So waiting for questions, comments. Sorry. Okay. Any questions, any comments, feedback, suggestions? All right. Okay, so if there are no questions, this is where we call it a night. And please feel free to reach out to my colleagues. Let me just show you our phone numbers and email address where you can easily reach out to any of us to make your payment, to reserve your slot, and begin your transition into tech. Give me a second. Okay, so here you have it. This is the website. You can visit the website to learn more. On the website, you can chat on the WhatsApp line. So on the website, there's a WhatsApp icon. You can click on that to chat with one of my colleagues. You can send an email to this address, and then we'll pick things up from there. Also, look at these phone numbers here. They are active lines where you can chat with our customer service reps, and they'll be happy to assist you through your journey in terms of making payments, or even completing your process in terms of filling up the form the form you fill after making payment, to upload your payment details and then help you settling into your class for the April cohort. So you can take a screenshot of this page to do that at your own time, or you can do it on this call. My colleagues are on the call, and they'll be able to pick this up from there. So if there are no questions or anything like that, I think this is what we call it. And I thank you very much for your time. For the women on the call, like I said, we are doing this for the women. Please do take advantage of. We need a lot more women in the tech ecosystem. So this is an advantage for you to be a part of what's going on at Tenalytics. So go ahead and make your payment. I'm looking forward to seeing you all in class. Thank you very much, and Have a lovely day, a lovely night, a lovely afternoon, depending on wherever you might be listening from. And thank you very much. Bye.